And welcome back to Who Would Win. Today's Who Would Win comes to us from Madara the Goat. Where's the question? Who would win in a fight? Madara, Sage of Six Paths Madara Uchiha, versus Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. And once again, this is probably what I should have put in the speed run. No disrespect to your thoughts or opinions on the fight, but anytime you put a universal level being or universal plus or whatever being or someone who can literally affect the grand scale cosmos with a snap of their fingers against someone who is at best a planetary level threat, it's kind of an obvious stomp in one side of the fence. But you're here to hear me talk about it, so let's just talk about it. Six Age Madara, obviously Madara, even during his formative years, his living years, was one of the greatest ninja ever in history. Capable of annihilating armies on his own, mastery of his Sharingan to the point where he had the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, which allowed him the full control of Susanoo, a giant chakra construct of massive magnitude, went toe-to-toe with the first Hokage. He had access to pretty much every chakra nature, if I'm not mistaken. Or did he gain access to that after he got the Rinnegan? I don't know, to be honest. I assume he learned. I mean, his predominant element to use was fire, but we know because he had the Rinnegan that he had access to all 5 chakra natures, and he had access to wind release thanks to consuming Hashirama's DNA. Those ships were made, but more to the point is then he obviously went into hiding for years. Then he died. Then he was resurrected, brought back as a Tensei. Then he was actually legitimately resurrected, and then he became the Six Paths in Madara. So along with having all the abilities of that he had in life, minus admittedly his Susanoo and Sharingan abilities, because this is actually a very interesting question. Because the Rinnegan eyes that Nagato received were in fact the Rinnegan eyes that were originally belonged to Madara. That would mean that the Madara Rinnegan eyes were the evolved form of his Mangekyo Sharingan and still his biological eyes. And technically, those aren't even his eyes; those are his brother's eyes, because he had his eyes. He has his brother's eyes removed, implanted in his head, and that's how he gained it. So technically, the eyes that we have in his head right now are actually his brother Izuna's eyes. But point being, though, is that those are still the eyes of an Uchiha. Does that mean that, in theory, Nagato, had he known about that, mind you, could have used Sharingan abilities? The answer, I think, is no. Because we saw, at least with the Edo Tensei version, that Madara was able to turn his Rinnegan on and off. He could go from Sharingan to Mangekyo, Eternal Mangekyo, to Rinnegan. He could rotate through them. Whereas in his Sage mode, he just keeps the Rinnegan on completely. And Nagato always just had it on because they were not naturally his. So, I would say it's possible he could still use those abilities, but we don't have really any evidence to say one way or the other, because it's just, it was never brought up. I don't know. What do you think? That's a fun conversation to have in the console level. Either way, though, as a Sage of Six Paths, he had access to a portion, at least, of all the Tail Beast chakra there was. So he had basically Transcendent Chakra, the Truth-Seeking Orbs, which was a mix of all 5 elements, directly behind his back, which could obliterate people in an instant, negate all ninjutsu, and would just be morphed into all sorts of shapes, hence the rod he has there. He had his Limbo clones, which were invisible phantasms, but could interact with the physical world. Kind of like a permanent shadow clone jutsu that's always on, sort of. The clones that dissipate. Naruto had to basically stick one of his chakra rods in each of them so he could keep them in place. He also had some Sage abilities, like I believe it was like Light Fang, which basically fired a beam of light at light speed from his mouth to cut someone in half. He also moved at insane speed, had insane regenerative capabilities as well, which allowed him to just regen from the attack that Guy inflicted on him. Although he did state that if Guy had pushed it much further, Guy could have killed him. He actually did compliment Guy very much, that Guy was so strong that he actually could have killed him had the fight continued for much longer. that wasn't exactly what he said, but that was the gist of it, that he could have died in that fight against someone like a guy that going full 8 gates was literally strong enough to contend with a Sage of 6 Paths, basically. Granted, it comes at the cost of, dying, but still. Ultimately, though, he also obviously had the Eternal Tsukiyomi, or Infinite Tsukiyomi, sorry, but that really was not a technique that was used for combat so much as, other things. Enslaving the world and all that. So, yeah, and obviously he still had all the skills he obtained over the years. Supremely intelligent individual, heightened abilities in battle, master combatant, and he has all the Rinnegan abilities too, which includes gravity manipulation, absorbing chakra, absorbing souls, yes, but reading the minds of souls and just pulling them out, resurrecting, stealing souls, telling lies, and resurrecting his other paths, summoning animals, different summonings, and obviously the Azura path, which was basically just a tank, more or less. So he technically has access to all those abilities as well, which are, the Renegons are pretty hacks freaking thing. So I'm going to just be straight up honest with you, and I'm just going to get Thanos abilities up here right now so I can just reference them. So I'm not just sounding like I'm talking out of my ass here. I don't even think 6 Paths Madara could beat base form comic Thanos, because this is not specified as MCU Thanos. This is comic Thanos. I don't even think he could beat base form comic Thanos. So he's got the physiology of a Titan Eternal. He's basically a mutant, actually. Thanos is a superhuman mutant whose massive human body form was born with the capacity to synthesize cosmic energy for certain personal uses. The Mad Titan has increased his power through bionic. I hate words. Bionic amplification, mystical enhancement, and as a result of being resurrected by death itself. He was deemed a Category 1 Life Ender by the Nova Corps. These are basically the Green Lanterns, kind of the Marvel Universe and peacekeepers around the galaxies. And that's on level 1 he was deemed a Category 1 Life Ender by the Nova Corps to have an universal level threat level, has been a one-time reality ender, being seemingly categorized as a cosmic level threat, being sent by the Shi'ar Imperial Guard to the core cell of a galactic gulag. His strength is enough to contend with the likes of individuals like Thor or the Hulk. He fought off Thor even when Thor had the power gem. Now, we obviously referred to all the Infinity Stones in just a second, but he referred to Thor, who was already a brick shithouse in his own right, who was amped by the power gem. His strength so vast that he's able to defeat the likes of the Silver Surfer, who can swim in black holes or just go through black holes like they're nothing, punch away an attack from the Hulk, physically subdue with ease Beta Ray Bill and Ronan the Accuser, as well as casually breaking apart the latter's universal level weapon. This is just physical strength, by the way, from Thanos in base form. He also beat in a melee fight the Hulk powered enhanced Annihilus. He can also augment his strength with cosmic energy when needed to, but doing it rarely, as his own power is mostly enough. He's able to lift Galactus's engine and recover from the deaths of Ego to Living Planet. Take the death battle thing as it is, but they believe it was like trillions of tons or whatever. So able to fight hand-to-hand with a Phoenix Force-empowered Thane when amped by the god. He punched Thane into the planet they were find him and destroyed it by charging him through it. Also, despite his size, he's extremely agile, easily able to keep up with light speeders, reflexes, all that. He's nigh invulnerable. He has survived reality warping effects. His resurrection from death increased his ability to resist injury to much greater degrees. He has withstood a point-blank range, planet-destroying attacks without harm. One of the famous ones is he's withstood Black Bolt's planet-destroying blast point-blank to the face 3 times and only nose bled. He's withstood blasts from the Silver Surfer from point-blank range. He withstood a battering from an enraged power gem-wielding Thor with nothing but a bloody nose. He possessed such incredible resistance to injury that he's been shown to survive point-blank blasts from Odin and Galactus, both of whom are multiverse-level individuals. He has withstood three full screens from Black Bolt. At one point, one point-blank range without any significant injury aside from damage to his suit. Sorry, it was the Thor thing that was the nosebleed. Survived being subjected to the artificial 2-light-year-wide black hole and withstood being stabbed in the chest by Wolverine's adamantium claws without exhibiting any discomfort. He is functionally immortal. He can die, but he needs to be killed. He can't die of old age. He has a regenerative healing factor. He can heal from just about near anything. I mean, they aren't as developed as those of some Eternals. Some Eternals are capable of regenerating any tissue. He's capable of regenerating damaged tissue with much greater speed and efficiency than a human being, though. Energy and manipulation and projection, as we've stated, he absorbs cosmic radiation and energy. He can use this in the form of magnetic energy, concussive force, infrared heat beams from his eyes, striking targets with optic blasts, as well as using his mental link to his nano-mystic chair to form vastly powerful energy shields, barriers, force fields, or prove himself able to project forms of shields and barriers of his own. The exact extent is not known of what he's able to do, but his blast been capable of knocking down the likes of the Hulk and Thor and temporarily defeat 4 alternate incarnations of the Silver Surfer with a simple casual blast. He is also able to graze Galactus' armor and blast the Devourer worlds off his feet and send him across the moon. In an alternate timeline, he actually blew his head clean off. That's the old King Thanos storyline. He is a telepath, able to read minds without problem, matter manipulation and control, some ability of the same way, mystical capabilities, he cursed Deadpool with immortality, capable of flying, teleportation. He's also a super genius in a skilled unarmed combat. And this is without including the Infinity Stones. So just so we're clear, all of that is base form Thanos. The only thing I can think of that Madara technically could have over Thanos is Sharingan Genjutsu. And even that might not work because he's so perceptive that he could probably just neg it, more or less. He's got probably mystical resistances, all that. And he's a telepath, so he could read his mind and figure that shit out prior. And if we're including the Infinity Stones, let's obviously just go over those real quick. The Power Stone we just addressed literally contains all the power that it has ever been, is, and ever will be in this one gen. It is literally all the power of the universe in one stone, and you have access to all that. And he negged in base form freaking Thor amped with that. You have the Soul Stone, which actually manipulates souls. It's sentient on its own, hungers for souls, has its own pocket dimension, and can manipulate, restore all that. You have the Mind Stone, which basically can manipulate minds, control them, project illusions, things along those lines. You have the Time Stone, which, as you can guess, manipulates time, can decelerate, accelerate, de-age, or age to dust. Then you have the, what do I have here? I'm blanking on the other ones. Reality and space. And then you have the Reality Stone, which literally has been described as the Wishing Stone. You can literally just turn anything into anything, spontaneously create something, spontaneously get rid of something. And then you have, obviously, the Space Stone, which basically controls movement in all forms. The person he stole it from was able to just keep moving at beyond light speeds. You're able to manipulate space itself, so you can literally just create a barrier and just, one of the basic abilities is like creating space-time portals and stuff like that. So it's like, I'm moving over here. Just create one of the fun ways they use it, though, is to literally slow down space in front of you to stop attacks. Similar to like time manipulation. So you get all this together in one glove, and Thanos literally just, as the famous comic was, he just, hold on, seeing that it's actually beneficial for me to have this here. He just snapped it. Boom. And he just snapped it. So and then half of life across the universe was gone. So, yeah, Thanos is, look, like I said, even base Thanos is deemed a universal level threat. Madara is not. There is no character in Naruto at this time that would, I don't think ever, even this so-called Otsutsuki god, there's no character that is a universal level threat in Naruto. At best, from everything I've seen from Naruto, and this includes Boruto. At best, you have planetary level threats. High planetary level threats, I could make that argument. I can see that argument made. But there's no star level threats. There is no, I mean, to be fair, what was the Ishiki, the guy with the shrinking ability? Hold on. Was that his name? Ishiki Otsutsuki. I think that was his name. I want to just find that Ishiki Otsutsuki. I think that's the one. Okay, that's the one. I will argue, before anyone tries to go even further on it, I will say this about Ishiki. Because of this weird dojutsu he has. It doesn't have a name. He's able to view the life force of living things, sure, including his own, and in the form of firelight showers and purple, but that's not the important thing when it comes to this one. But his main ability, he could basically allow him to instantly shrink himself or any non-living target he saw as quickly and just quickly restore to original size. After shrinking target, he could use Daiyokuten, which led to him storing any of his shrunken targets into a pocket timeless dimension, which you could summon at full size at any given time. He tended to make regular usage of this, so he could use his ability to combat great effect by shrinking weapons and objects and summoning them to full size right before combat, severe damage, or by reducing size. He could also even reduce the size of buildings and to cause severe collateral damage or remove stable footing. Having the ability to produce and summon myriad of special rods is the most common tactic, instantly summon black rods. Okay, so I don't know what the limitation is on that technique, but in theory, because it only works on him in inanimate objects, non-living objects. Non-living objects or inanimate objects. I need to be sure about that. Let's see here. He's able to make he could use it to let him store a non-living target. Okay. So you'd have to really give them some leeway here. Because as far as we know, this is not an ability the Otsutsuki have. But if the Otsutsuki were in theory capable of surviving in the vacuum of space and traveling in space, because we know they do come from a different dimension, then in theory, Ishiki could use his dojutsu on, say, like a sun, shrink it down, and then just annihilate a planet with that. So in that sense, then you are talking about an individual who is a solar system buster at that point. Sure, but see, you notice I had to really jump through some hoops to make that happen. So, except for maybe someone who has a weird ability like that, again, we have not yet to meet this Otsutsuki god. Most Naruto characters are nothing above a planetary, maybe high planetary, but nothing above a planetary level. Whereas Thanos, in just base form, is a universal level threat, and at least a one-time reality ender, as they say. So yeah. Anyway, I digress. To be fair, look, this was a very clear stomp. This should have gone in the speed round video, but you know what? I wrote it down and I actually misplaced it. This was supposed to come during the week of who would win. I misread it on my sheet. But look, I had it here. So I might as well have been fair to everyone, to the person who gave it to me. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. But look, if you can legitimately, and I mean legitimately, give me an idea, a legit reason, or a legit way that Madara Six Paths could beat Thanos, first off, base form, but second off, with the Infinity Gauntlets, because the Mind Stone would clearly protect his mind from Genjutsu. So the Genjutsu thing doesn't work, especially with the Mind Stone there. There might be a small argument when he's in base form. Let me know, because I would really like to hear it. But until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you folks next time.